Good morning, everybody. It's Rebecca Gabriel here. Welcome to my daily card reading. So lovely to have you here. I am enjoying so much doing these card readings, and thank you for those who have been sending feedback my way. Good to know that it is making a difference to your life. As always, I just let you know it is a general reading for the general collective, so please just take what is resonating for your particular circumstances. We don't want to force fit anything, and I do personal readings. If you'd like to have one for your particular circumstances, you can contact me. Just go to my website, livingwithspice.com. So today's card reading, it really actually made me want to sort of spend a little bit more time on it, to go into a little bit more depth. It's a bit more complex, believe it or not. So I've pulled a card from the Sacred Earth Oracle deck. And this morning, the card that came up was called Surface. And it's really beautifully illustrated here. We can see two people lying in what looks like some water. We just see their faces there. And there's, in this particular reading, there's an earthly reading, a spiritual reading, and then an insight is given. Now, for those of you who have connected with this reading today, it would seem that you have been, well, we know that you've been going through some, deep reflections recently. And when we are going through a transformation and we're reassessing our own life, it's very human to then look at the circumstances and the people and the relationships in our life as well, and reassess how we feel about those people. And the reading today is our perspective on how we see and how we come to a certain conclusion or a perspective about other people. So this card is speaking about accepting people at face value. And look, there's merit in doing that, as well as wanting to understand them at a deeper level. So the guidance around this card is that we know that you've been through a temporary upheaval at the moment, but there is a state of calm coming. And when we have calm, it's easier for us to see the reality of things. And people generally show us who they are at face value. And, we can sort of make an assessment of someone based on their actions, what they're doing in life, and certainly the guidance here and the beauty in this message is to see what they are bringing to the world and what they're doing through their actions. So there's the surface of what we see. We're also brought to the understanding or to the awareness that despite the surface of what we see, there's going to be another layer underneath, and quite often we will have a tough exterior, sort of like a protective layer is how we present ourselves to the world. And then as we go just a little bit beneath the surface, there's often gold there, in that when we get past that self-protection, however that is manifested in our personality and the way we relate to people, when we get beyond that layer, there is gold and there's beauty, and there's another level to that person. And sometimes we forget to see that. So we have the surface layer of someone and how someone presents themselves to the world. And it's not what they look like, but rather what we need to notice are their actions and what are they bringing to the world, positive, negative, or whatever. That's going to tell us something about that person. So that is important information for us. Then we go to the next layer, just beneath the surface, because often part of what we are seeing on the outside is not all of that person, obviously. It's a self-protection layer. And then we go beneath and we see something a little deeper, and sometimes there are just beautiful gems about that person. If we're curious enough to go there and to want to learn a little bit more about that person. So that's also an important aspect of how we sort of come to make assessments of someone and we get to know someone. So it's important. There are many layers to this reading. It's really quite interesting. It's important not to just dismiss the pleasantries of someone. because these are what grow the strong foundations of a person, of who they are. It is giving us an indication of who that person is. So that's important. We don't want to dismiss that. We're not saying that the exterior is false, okay? But we're probably looking at rather not so much the presentation, but what their actions are and what they're doing and how they're interacting with the rest of the world. So Spirit is saying, why is this important? Well, sometimes we can prejudge people and only look at the outside presentation. And so Spirit is saying, be careful of your own cynicism. Okay, be careful of prejudging someone based on the outside exterior. Now, the spiritual meaning in this card is asking us to go below the surface. Okay, and below the surface, from a spiritual perspective now, from a soul perspective, is where there's incredible creativity available to us, where we can go into a place of beautiful dreamlike imagination. And this is a world or an aspect of us that is very different to the physical world of how we appear to the rest of the world and how we interact. At the soul level, we are way more similar to each other, but there's an aspect of us that enables us to imagine, and to imagine on a spiritual level, and to create from that space of imagining. That's the essence of who we are, of how we envisage what is possible, you know, in kind of in a different realm almost. But it's from there that we plant the seeds of ideas that we then want to manifest in the 3D world and the physical world. So that's also a very important aspect of who we are, is that soul level, that deeper level of where we can have incredible powerful ability to see the future, to see possibilities, to create something. Everything about who we are is about creation. So, you know, this is educating us in a way to make sure that when we see ourselves as human beings, we are more than the surface of what we look like. We are, to some degree, the actions of how we interact with our 3D world. There is a layer just underneath the surface of us that is very special and contains the truth of who we are, our motivations. And then there's that deeper level, the spiritual level, of the soul level of something that's way more expansive and enables us to go into a space of imagination beyond the physical world, to imagine things that are greater, that are more possible, that we often don't go there because we're so conditioned to think about our physical world and what we see, feel, hear and touch. But at that soul level is a whole different other aspect and depth to who we are in terms of our ability to create. And that's where we can start talking about our purpose in life, our mission of what we're here to do and achieve and how we grow. Big topic. Yeah. So the Spirit is saying our imagination is not limited to the physical world of what we think is possible. So often when we're going through transformation, we're seeking answers in life and we're looking for next steps, we're looking at the physical realm. We're looking at answers from our external world that are going to tell us what to do. You know, we'll go to someone and say, please tell me what to do. We'll look for answers in the things around us, in our material things and in other people. But Spirit is saying that, you know, our ability to imagine what's possible goes beyond what is physical and tangible. There's a beautiful insight that's given with this card that talks about the structure of the earth. And, you know, we spoke about there's a beautiful surface layer which is undeniably beautiful, which is our nature. You know, everything that lives on the surface of this planet is diverse and rich and beautiful. And then we have a hard, crusty layer of the earth. And that's kind of like our protective layer, isn't it? And very difficult to penetrate. But beneath that, we have a lot of darkness, but in that darkness there is fire and lava and another whole richness that is brimming there, that takes us to another whole level of us as human beings, if we relate that metaphor to us as human beings. And we spoke a lot about in the last week about emotions, and how through transformation a lot of deep emotions are coming up to the surface to be dealt with, and these can be quite tumultuous. It can cause grief, sadness. It can help us. It can cause us to feel overwhelmed. But also, those emotions can bring joy as well. And whatever it is, it's deep within us. A very important aspect of who we are, not to be denied, but to be appreciated and noted. Sometimes that inner part of who we are, if there's been no opportunity to acknowledge that aspect of who we are, there can be a pressure that builds up till finally, if there's been no ability to tap into that energy and that aspect of who we are, the pressure can build up till it explodes. And that's why we experience sometimes, huge challenges and rifts in relationships, or we can have what we call a meltdown, where there's a massive release of energy and emotion, or sadness and grief, or ecstasy even. And it can frighten us almost, because it's unexpected, because it comes up really fast and explodes. So we may have arguments, or we may have, big tearful moments. This is just understanding how we're operating and those deeper aspects of who we are. So we get a glimpse of another dimension of who we are as human beings. All of these aspects of us are really important. We are more than just the surface, which is what I feel is the key message here. We are more than just the surface. So when we're trying to understand ourselves or others, it's important that we understand it from this perspective. All aspects of who we are as people are valuable, and they give us a lot of information about ourselves and about others. So I feel, in summary, I hope I've delivered that message in a way that's meaningful to you. As you're going through your own personal transformation, all of these aspects of yourself are really important. And whether you be looking at you or looking at someone else, clearly you are number one when it comes to your personal transformation. Knowing that, yes, we have a personal exterior that we present to the world. That's a normal part of who we are. Just beneath that surface quite often is the truth of who we are. Our actions are important. So even if we present on the surface one way, what we do in our day-to-day life tells us more about the truth of who we are and what we're bringing into the world or not. And then, of course, we go past that self-protective layer as well to a deeper aspect of who we are, where there's our past conditioning, our experiences, our emotions, our wounds, our deep desires, our joys, and that's the sort of the lava beneath the surface. It's so important to really understand all parts of ourselves, honour all parts of ourselves, so we don't end up in a situation where we're exploding. And that's why transformation gives us the opportunity to acknowledge who we are, to heal, to address all aspects of who we are, so that we're looking at ourselves from a spiritual truth. And as we do that, we're able to better understand how to move forward in our life and how to make the changes that we'd like to make in order to feel healthier, grounded, more in tune with the real person of who we are. So my friends, that was a more lengthy reading this morning. I had no idea that was going to come, but I do feel that it's an important part of our transformation journey. So I hope that has resonated on a level that's helping you at the moment on your journey. I'm very happy for you to leave me comments to let me know, or if you want to private message me at any time. I do coaching sessions and I do personal readings, as I mentioned before. I will upload this card to Instagram with the text, as well as to my Facebook page, Living with Spice. If you'd like to connect with me, please go to my business page, and of course on YouTube, which is Living with Spice as well. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Lots of love, and I will see you tomorrow.